At the peak of his fame, Charlie Chaplin was one of the most recognizable faces in the world. He achieved international recognition during the silent film era, specifically in the 1920s and 30s. He's been called the father of comedy and is regarded as one of the most important figures in the history of cinema. But how did he become this famous? What made him such an influential figure? And what happened to him after his fame died down? This is the story of Charlie Chaplin. We will explore his troubled childhood, rise to fame, struggles later in life, and the legacy he left behind. Let's get into it. 1889, London, England. The birth of a star. Charles Spencer Chaplin was born on April 16, 1889, in London, England. His father was a struggling comedian and his mother was a singer and actress. As a child, he would often perform with his mother and her friends, and would frequently be sent to the stage to entertain the audience when they were drinking. Unfortunately, his parents had very little success with their acting careers. And by the time Charlie was just 5 years old, his father had left them, and his mother was sent to a mental institution. Young Charlie was then taken in by his aunt and uncle. His aunt, Hannah, took over the role of his mother and father and raised him for the majority of his childhood. She proved to be a loving and supportive guardian who would allow him to stay out late so that he could perform in front of other kids, encouraging his passion for performing arts, struggling to make ends meet. As a teenager, Charlie left school at the age of 14 to pursue acting. However, due to his lack of formal education, he struggled to find work. In 1906, he joined a theater group where he learned how to play the ukulele and developed his comedic talents. During his time in this theater group, he also met his first wife, Mildred Harris. They married in 1906, but unfortunately she suffered multiple miscarriages. In 1908, Charlie moved to America to pursue bigger dreams. Soon after arriving in the United States, he began working for a film company owned by Mack. It was here that he created his iconic character, the Tramp. Although he had some success with this new film career, his personal life was still not going well. In 1910, his first child died of the Spanish flu, and shortly after, his wife had another miscarriage. Finding success with Keystone. In 1913, Charlie went to work for another film company called Keystone. Here, he became incredibly successful. Some of his most famous films, like The Rink and The Cure, were produced during his time with Keystone. Despite his success, tragedy struck again when his wife back in England gave birth to their son, Norman, who was stillborn. After making 35 films with Keystone, Charlie moved on to a new company in 1915. He wrote, directed, produced, and starred in many of his own films throughout the next few years. Two of his most popular films, The Tramp and The Gold Rush, were released during this period. Both films have since been selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry, being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The height of fame. Over the course of the next decade, Charlie continued to make films and gain more success. He made several more classic films and became one of the most recognizable people in the world. Many people would often stop him on the street and ask for his autograph. By the late 1920s, he was arguably the most famous person in the world. The New York Times even reported that there were more pictures of him than there were of the King and Queen of England. He was extremely wealthy, earning around $1 million per year, which is equivalent to about $15 million today. With all this wealth, he built a mansion in Switzerland and surrounded himself with beautiful women. Although not everyone was a fan of Charlie, despite his worldwide success, he had a couple of haters. Some people believed that his films were silly and didn't deserve all of the attention that they were getting. Others felt that he was a threat to American society because he was a foreigner. Tensions began to grow between Charlie and the United States government, and it seemed as though World War II would put an end to Charlie's Hollywood career, moving to Europe. When the war broke out, Charlie decided to remain neutral and refused to join the fight. This decision angered the United States government, and they immediately began taking action against him. They revoked his residency permit and forced him to return to England. Despite this setback, Charlie's career continued to thrive. he teamed up with two friends and started a film production company. They produced several propaganda films for the British Ministry of Information, which helped the British people to keep morale high during these difficult times. At the same time, Charlie continued to perform in films and was able to stay popular during the war. When the war came to an end, it was hoped that Charlie would be welcomed back to the United States. However, this was not the case. Due to his past actions, he was accused of being a communist and was placed under a microscope by the House Committee on Un-American Activities. For fear of being thrown in jail, he decided to flee the country and move to Switzerland. The decline. While in Switzerland, he continued to work on projects that interested him, including directing and starring in his final film, The Circus. The film received critical acclaim and was considered to be one of his greatest masterpieces. Following this huge success, Charlie's health began to deteriorate. He suffered a serious heart attack and knew that he needed to slow down. After spending a few years recovering from his heart attack, he returned to the stage and began touring. Unfortunately, his health quickly declined once again, and he was forced to cancel his tour. Soon after, he suffered a second heart attack and died on Christmas Day in 1977. Personal life. Throughout his life, Charlie was known for having a colorful love life. His first wife, Mildred, struggled to conceive and ultimately failed to give Charlie a child. So he began seeing another woman named Edna Purviance. The two never married, but had a committed relationship for many years. After splitting with Edna, Charlie married a young woman named Lita Gray, who was only 16 at the time. They had 2 children together but eventually divorced. His fourth wife was Una O'Neill, the daughter of American playwright Eugene O'Neill. The two married in 1964 and stayed together until Charlie's death in 1977. Charlie Chaplin's legacy. Charlie Chaplin left an everlasting mark on the entertainment industry and paved the way for many comedians who followed after him. His dedication to his craft and willingness to push the boundaries of what could be done in comedy led him to become one of the most successful entertainers of all time. As we can see, Charlie's early life was quite difficult, but he still managed to find success. He faced many obstacles throughout his career, including the end of World War II, but he always managed to overcome them and come out on top. His dedication to his work and passion for entertaining others is truly inspiring. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please consider subscribing. Also, be sure to check out some of our other videos.